Hello and welcome to my review of the Warhammer 40,000 Adepta Sororitas Retributors squad, not to be confused with the Stormcast Eternals Retributors, which are a little bit more expensive than these, and they're for Age of Sigmar of course and not 40k. This box set of miniatures will cost you £32.50, so it's exactly the same price as the Chaos Space Marine Havocs, which are a heavy support choice for, of course, Chaos Space Marines. Now, the differences between these two kits is that the Adepta Sororitas kit includes 5 Retributors and 2 Armorium Cherubs, and you have 2 of each set of heavy weapons. So you have 2 heavy bolters, 2 heavy flamers, and 2 multi-melters. And then the Retributor Superior has a number of weapons: chainsword, a power maul, combi weapons, underslung bolt gun, things like that. Either way, you have 115 parts with this kit, and I'm not actually 100% sure how many parts the Chaos Havoc set has, but I can tell you that the Havoc set has 2 autocannons, 2 heavy bolters, 2 las cannons, 2 missile launchers, and 1 Reaper chain cannon. So that's a whopping total of 9 heavy weapons compared to this set, which has 6. Now, one of the main reasons for that is because they brought in this new Reaper chain cannon, and secondly, they're basically like a Devastator squad. The normal Space Marine Devastator squad, which is actually now only £2.50 cheaper than this and the Havocs, and I think that was a recent price hike, to be fair. But that set is still fantastic value. You're getting 12 heavy weapons in that kit: 2 grav cannons, 2 missile launchers, 2 multi-melters, 2 las cannons, 2 plasma cannons, and 2 heavy bolters, so even more than the Havoc set. So in terms of heavy weapons to price ratio, this is probably the worst. However, you are getting 2 Armorium Cherubs, and these are some of the most finely detailed normal plastic miniatures that Games Workshop have produced in the Sisters of Battle range. Do I think they're worth the £32.50 on face value? Yes, I do, and that's a mixture of the models themselves and the rules. You get a lot of spare parts in this kit too, but firstly, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the miniatures individually, then we'll look at the spare parts, we'll go through some size comparisons, and finally I'll go through all of the rules found in your Sisters of Battle Codex. So the first model I like to show you is the Sister Superior. I've equipped her with absolutely everything I can. Of course, the combi plasma gun there. I think it offers a great balance between high strength and high AP, and you've also got the bolt gun part. And I haven't outdone her there. I've given her another bolt gun just because it looks cool. You don't see many of these underslung bolt guns. I tell you what, that strap must be very, very strong. Or maybe bolt guns aren't as heavy as everyone thinks. Are these the same size bolt guns as Space Marines have? There's a quick intro size comparison. No, they are not. They are slightly smaller and a bit more compact. But they're still bolt guns. I wonder if they carry the same number of rounds. Put it in the comments below if you've got a valid answer for that. I'm thinking not. Anyway, she's got this lovely little power maul to bash heretics over the head with. And I haven't chosen the awful face. I mean, that's the worst face I've ever seen. Let's just have a close-up. This might give you nightmares. Look at that face. It's a face only a mother could love. Or the Emperor, who knows. But still, I've gone away with that awful face. It's the worst face in the whole collection, in my opinion. And Junith comes a close second. But still, lots of detail on this. Nice purity seal. You get a load of bits so you can add loads of purity seals onto her as well. On the bolt gun and wherever. So a nice Sister Superior. I'm as baffled as you guys with sergeants and superiors and whoever not having a heavy weapon themselves. I guess they're busy giving out orders and protecting the squad in melee than to have the time to carry around a big lunking heavy weapon and contribute to the fire. But I always found that a bit odd. at least you can contribute with that combi plasma. Anyway, moving on, we don't get any plasma weapons. I don't know why. Maybe the whole sisters are adverse to plasma. It seems like quite a pure way of getting rid of heretics, firing mini suns at them, but still another choice of purging is the heavy flamer, and that looks awesome. And I've given this Retributor, I've taken the helmet off her, and she's got this little rebreather thing going on. All of the weapons were really easy to put together except for the heavy bolter, because that comes in a multiple section of parts, but typically the heavy flamer has some tubing that glues on, and it goes, and then it has a connector, and then it glues to the power plant or the ammo feed, really. So I've put her kind of moving forward, aiming slightly downwards to put the flames underneath the enemy so that they rise up. You must remember, you know, choosing heavy flamers for this squad isn't typically a bad thing, because they've got the rule where you add an extra 4 inches. So you've got 12-inch heavy flamers on top of their movement speed of 6 inches, means you've got that effective range of 18 inches, which isn't too bad. But you need a delivery method because these are squishy as anything, and they don't have invulnerable saves and all the rest of it. And they only have the Shield of Faith invulnerable save, so just bear that in mind. They are a bit vulnerable to more longer range fire, or from fire from vehicles or walkers or whatever. And speaking of which, the reason why I've chosen this loadout, I mentioned this in another video, is to give you guys, you viewers, subscribers, an opportunity to see all of the weapon types. I tried to do that in the Havocs as well, with the chain cannon and the missile launchers. Of course, competitively, I don't really play many games, so competitively, you're usually best sticking to one weapon type. Although, if you want 4 heavy bolters, for instance, you're going to have to buy 2 sets of these, or grab a couple of heavy bolter sisters from other kits. Anyway, that's the heavy flamer, and then I've gone for 2 multi-melters, always awesome to melt tanks. They are a little bit different. This lady has got her legs a bit more wide open, a bit more of a braced stance, and she's aiming down a little bit, and this one is kind of aiming level. I like the attention to detail in terms of the ammunition feeds for these weapons. Yeah, they look great. And then finally, the coolest one out of all of them, but the hardest to glue together to get the joins right and the ammo feed, is the heavy bolter Retributor. She's on a bit of an angle. I don't know why the heavy bolter is on a bit of a wonk, a bit of an angle, and I do need to file down that bit a little bit more as well. But you got this nice ammo feed there. I've given her like an extra optics lens on her, if you can see that. And yeah, but definitely the coolest sister out of all of them, coolest Retributor. My favourite, I think. And then you've got the 2 Armorium Cherubs. You can take 1 in the squad or 2, and they just allow one of the models to fire twice in the turn, but then they're removed from play. So technically you've got 4 heavy weapons there, but in a round of shooting you could have 6, if that makes sense. You know, both of these girls with their multi-melters could fire twice, which is quite horrific when you think about it. I'd keep the Armorium Cherubs close by until you're close to a tank or walker or something with a high toughness, and then fire them twice. Or use delivery method like the Rhino or Immolator and drive them all the way up to your enemy, pop them out, and then use the Armorium Cherubs straight away. Cool little tactics you could use for this army. So they're the Armorium Cherubs. They're a nice little addition, and they are very useful in game too. Let's just show you the spare parts, which are all the way over here. And look, as you can see, there's a ton of spare parts. You know, you've got the other heavy flamer I didn't use, the other heavy bolter. You could glue these up and put them on normal Sisters of Battle, absolutely no problem at all. And because they're on these 32mm bases, you're going to have no issues at all with using them in other squads. I mean, you could have a Battle Sister squad. You could buy a Battle Sister box with this and then get your extra 2 heavy weapons. And you must also take into account that normal Battle Sister box set comes with a heavy flamer and a heavy bolter too. So you could get a Battle Sister box and this Retributor squad and make 2 Retributor squads out of it. You're going to have 3 heavy bolters in the end and 3 heavy flamers and 2 multi-melters. So it's possible to make this, to make the second Retributor squad. The only thing is you're only going to have 2 Armorium Cherubs, but you could put the other one in the other 5-woman squad. So there you go. You've got some more like bits for the combi weapon. You've got a load of heads here. You've got the book that she's reading from, or I don't know what she's doing. I can count here that I've got 18, no less than 18 spare heads. Everything from more helmeted ones to non-helmeted. I mean, I only use 1 non-helmeted head in there, but 18. Do we really need 18 spare heads? I would have had more heavy weapons. I would have had half of these and 2 more heavy weapons if it was me. Maybe even 3. How about that, Games Workshop? Why don't you have 3 multi-melters in there? Well, either way, you get 18 spare heads, which I guess you could use in your other Sisters models. You get a couple of front armour pieces, which I guess you could use in other kits. And you get bits and bobs like a fleur-de-lis icon and the ammo feeds and grenades. You get a chainsword for the superior, and you can have the chainsword instead of the power maul if you didn't want to pay the points, because the chainswords are free. So they're all the spare parts, quite a lot of spare parts, especially all those 18 heads. Let's go through some size comparisons then. So here is a normal Sisters of Battle Sister Superior, and they are the same height pretty much. They're both on these bricks. They must have been at a brick warehouse or something that day when they posed for the photo for the box, but there we go. Next to a normal, next to a Canoness even. Show you just a Retributor. The Canoness is, yeah, similar height. They're all going to be about similar height. Canoness is probably a little bit taller. So there you go. And then a normal Battle Sister. I mean, this one is in a upright position, running about, similar height. So there you go. Next to a Penitent engine. That just gives you an idea of how big Penitent engines are. I mean, Penitent engines are another heavy support choice. I would have rather them they be elite choices, but there we go. So that's what they're going to be up against in terms of choices. And of course, it wouldn't be a full review if I didn't bring in the Exorcist tank. Absolutely stunning miniature. And again, you know, you've got a choice here of, you know, these 3 heavy support choices. You know, you can go for the Retributors on the ground, which I strongly suggest you put in a Rhino, or you put in an Immolator to get a little bit closer to the enemy. They do have the Faithful Advance special rule, which allows them to move and fire with the heavy weapons, but why not keep them as safe as they can be? You know, or you go for the full bombardment ordnance with the Exorcist, which is again another stunning model, or do you go for close combat carnage and rampage with the Penitent engines or the mortifiers? So there you go. There's some size comparisons. I might as well just show you some next to 2 Space Marines. But if you've seen me do size comparisons with Sisters before, you'll pretty much know the answer to this. Sisters are about the same height as Space Marines, probably a tiny bit smaller. And then for the Primaris are, yeah, a good, you know, Sisters probably just up to their chest. So yeah, Sisters are going to look, you know, size they should be, in my opinion, next to Primaris. And now you've reached my part of the review, where I will go through all of the rules for the Retributor squad. So you'll find them in the heavy support section, as I've alluded to throughout this review. They are PowerPoints cost of a 6. and a points cost of 10 points per model. You will have to pay for their ranged weapons. The heavy bolters are 10 points, the heavy flamers are 1 point, which is very, very cheap. And the multi-melters are 22 points, so they're the most expensive parts. Armorium cherubs are 5 points each. The power maul, which the superior is armed with, is only 4 points. But she does have the combi plasma there, which costs 11 points. Not as expensive as the combi melter, but there we go. I think if I did another unit, which is highly likely, I'd equip her with a combi melter, and then I'd probably equip another 2 of them with multi-melters again and have a full multi-melter equipped Retributor squad, and just put heavy flamers or heavy bolters in the other one. Because it really doesn't matter that much, because I'm going to have heavy flamers and heavy bolters in my normal Battle Sisters squads as well. So their stat line reads: movement of 6 inches, weapon skill 4+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a save of 3+. The Retributor Superior has exactly the same stat line, except she gets 2 attacks and her leadership is 8. Now, incidentally, that's exactly the same stat line as a normal Battle Sister. The unit contains 1 Retributor Superior and 4 Retributors. It can additionally contain up to 5 Retributors. Every model is equipped with bolt pistol, bolt gun, frag grenades and crack grenades. They all do what they usually do. War gear options: up to 4 Retributors can be equipped with 1 weapon from the heavy weapons list instead of 1 bolt gun. 1 Retributor equipped with 1 bolt gun can have a Simulacrum Imperialis. You don't get one of these in the set, which is really odd and quite annoying. So you're going to have to salvage one of those from the main Battle Sister box set. The Retributor Superior can additionally be equipped with 1 weapon from the melee weapons list, or can be equipped with 1 weapon from the melee weapons list instead of 1 bolt gun. The Retributor Superior can be equipped with 1 weapon from the ranged weapons list instead of 1 bolt gun, and the Retributor Superior can be equipped with 1 weapon from the pistols list instead of 1 bolt pistol. This unit can have an Armorium Cherub, or it can have 2 Armorium Cherubs. So, abilities: they've got Axe of Faith, Sacred Rites and Shield of Faith, so they get that 6+ invulnerable save, and they can resist psychic powers. Simulacrum Imperialis: if you found one and you put it in this squad, if a model in this unit has a Simulacrum Imperialis, then once per phase you can perform 1 act of faith for this unit, even if you have already performed 1 or more acts of faith in that phase. That's quite decent. Faithful Advance: models in this unit do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. There you go. There's no explanation needed, not like the Havocs where they have special kind of shoes which allow them to move and shoot. They just do it because they have a Faithful Advance. Rites of Fire: so you add 4 inches to the range characteristic of heavy flamers models in this unit are equipped with. So that boosts your flamers to 12 inches, which is quite decent. And of course, then puts them on par with the Immolation Flamers range of 12 inches. Armorium Cherub: if this unit has an Armorium Cherub, then after a model in this unit shoots with a ranged weapon, that Armorium Cherub can reload that model's weapon. If it does, that Armorium Cherub is removed from play, and that model can immediately shoot with that ranged weapon again. An Armorium Cherub is represented by an Armorium Cherub model, but does not count as a model for any rules purposes. Whilst the unit with an Armorium Cherub is on the battlefield, that Armorium Cherub must be within 2 inches of it. There you go. So quite self-explanatory. It doesn't necessarily say that you can only use 1 Armorium Cherub once. It just says it can immediately shoot with that ranged weapon again. So I would say you can use 2 Armorium Cherubs on 1 model, because there's no restriction there. Because technically, after the model in this unit shoots with a ranged weapon, it's technically shooting again. That's the way I'd read it. I would say you can use both on 1 model. Keywords: Imperium, Adeptus Ministorum, Adeptus Sororitas, Infantry and Retributor Squad. So there you go. That is my rules review of the Retributor Squad. They are very decent, but you need to equip them with heavy weapons against a specific enemy or foe. If you're going against hordes, the heavy bolters and the heavy flamers are going to save your bacon. But if you're going against high toughness units or tanks or walkers or monsters or something like that, go for the multi-melters. Also, they're squidgy with the toughness 3. They can be picked off by units that have much greater range, like 48 inches or even 60 inches, but they do have that Save of 3+, and they do have that Invulnerable 6+, but they're quite costly. Once you add the multi-melters onto there, you're looking at 32 points for one model, and that's quite a big chunk to be lost if you fall victim to longer ranged sustained fire. So always try and protect them where you can, or have another unit somewhere to protect them if they if something jumps in and tries to melee them. That's my best advice for them. What do you guys think of the models and the rules? Please do put it in the comments below. It would be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.